What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back, and from the New York Post, Raquel Evita Saraswati, who claimed Arab, South Asian, Latin descent, outed by her own mom, quote, white as driven snow. So here we go again. None of their talking points, none of their agendas ever make any sense. They talk about white privilege constantly while ignoring guys like Hunter Biden, but that's a different story. They talk about white privilege so much that they realize they will have more privilege and more advantage and more opportunities if they pretend to be somebody that they're not. But that's what this whole thing is about. It's always about pretending to be somebody that you're not and creating an entirely false reality and forcing other people to believe what you're saying. But the story says, the senior inclusion officer of a Philadelphia-based social justice group has been lying about her ethnic identity for years. So that makes perfect sense, right? Because none of these groups, these social justice groups, senior inclusion officer, that's the like NGO version of the bureaucracy, right? So all of the, diversity training, all those jobs are so easy to get rid of. They're overpaid people, but when it's in the federal government, it's just like these unelected bureaucrats who are overpaid to create new rules that you have to abide by. And that's exactly what's happening here with this, I guess, maybe some sort of nonprofit social justice group. I still don't know how any of these people make their money, right? Kind of like BLM, just scamming people and then buying mansions, but also that's a different story. Raquel Evita Saraswati, 39, who was born Rachel Elizabeth Seidel. Okay, so she just look at this giant Pantene ad, Jesus. Who was born Rachel Elizabeth Seidel, is the Chief Equity, Inclusion, and Culture Officer of the American Friends Service Committee, which fights, quote, violence, inequality, and oppression, according to The Intercept. So, yeah, it's all completely fake. It's all made up. All these job titles, the organization itself is completely unnecessary. It's just a money scam. Money and control, of course. That's just the same with everything. None of it's ever, they take so many different approaches to the same goal. That's all that happens. The Muslim activist, who apparently is not Muslim, anyhow, the Muslim activist who has access to files of the progressive Quaker groups, workers, and volunteers, has claimed for years to be of Latin, South Asian, and Arab descent. So she's taking everything. She's just throwing it all at the wall and saying, I'm anything but white. Give me some money. Give me a job. Some sort of weird no-show job where she can pretend that she's making rules. Who are they supposed to even be helping? The homeless people in Philly? The people shooting up Trank in the alleyway? What are they even supposed to be doing? Maybe they'll tell us. But her mother, Carol Peroni, Perone, is that Peroni? Said Saraswati is actually British, German, and Italian. Okay, so she just completely made up a fake name with 3 different ethnicities, and I guess wore a headscarf. There's another picture of her in a headscarf. I don't know. They have this picture from another story here on the Post, but she basically did the Rachel Dolezal thing, where she looked vaguely ethnic because of her makeup and the headscarf that she was wearing and some like crazy earrings or something. Her mom says, I call her Rachel. I don't know why she's doing what she's doing, Peroni told The Intercept. I'm as white as the driven snow, and so is she. Okay. Well, you know why she's doing it. It's for money. Duh. Oh, there it is. There's the picture. Right, so she's got the piercing, the nose piercing, the lip piercing, and the headscarf, and like this heavy makeup that is supposed to make her seem like she's something else. Anyhow, her mom added, I'm German and British. Her father was Calabrese, Italian, and she's chosen to live a lie. I find that very, very sad. Yeah, this is what these people do. So at least the mom, shout out to The Intercept, shout out to the Post, shout out to the mom here for calling this weirdo woman out. Peroni said her daughter converted to Islam in high school and for some reason felt compelled to present a different ethnic identity. Well, it's because the white privilege that they're always screaming about isn't as sold. That's why. Because she gets victim points, and in the hierarchy of the weirdo establishment, the victim points are, that's currency, right? It's like ramen or cigarettes in jail. That's currency. And you don't get it if you're just white. So they claim they create the privilege. They tell you that you have the privilege if you're white. I'm not white. But anyways, they project everything onto you and then force you to obey the rules that they just projected onto you. It's like even in the Super Bowl, if you'll notice at the back of the end zone, it says stop racism or end racism. It's on the back of the helmets. It's like you're the ones perpetuating it. You're the ones that created the rule and then forcing people to live by the fake rules that you created, right? Anyhow, it goes on. The mother shared with The Intercept photos that show Saraswati, who knows where she even came up with this name, with a far lighter complexion when she was a child, as well as her Ancestry.com profile. She asked the outlet not to publish the images. Another family member who asked not to be identified confirmed to The Intercept that Saraswati is white. Oscar Pierre Castro, a human resources official who helped AFSC hire Saraswati, was told she was a, quote, queer Muslim multi-ethnic woman. And this is what happens, right? Every time when you create these hierarchies, you're bound to get fakes, right? So if San Francisco or San Bernardino or Palm Springs or whatever it is, California says, oh, we're going to give $1,200 to the Transformers, then of course you're going to have a bunch of them. We saw that, this clip go viral once again of South Park where Cartman wants to use the girl's bathroom, so he just puts a bow on top of his beanie, and this is the hierarchy that you created, and then you're mad when somebody throws it right back in your face. It's another thing we saw with this PPP loan fraud, right? So for 2 years, the government and the medical tyranny establishment was lying and manipulating evidence and forcing you to do stuff, and then when somebody throws their lies and manipulation back in their face, they are the criminal, right? But let's recall what AFSC stands for once more. It is American Friends Service Committee, AFSC. So the guy who hired her was told that she was a queer, multi-ethnic woman. Okay, because that's what matters to them. They don't care if you're good at the job. Of course, you don't have to be good at the job because this job means nothing. They don't do anything. And you can see her shirt here. I'm rooting for everybody black and trans. Well, you're not, though. You're not rooting for everybody black. You're not rooting for even everybody trans. I guarantee it. You just want the control. You just want people to obey. And if they do that, then you'll be profitable, I guess, a little bit. In my mind, it was great. In my mind, it was, quote, great, a person of color. So I guess this is the guy who hired her. Great, a person of color, a queer person of color who happens to be a Muslim. It's a woman, all these things, and someone who seemed to get it. Get what? Get your weird manipulation tactics? Get your weird hierarchy that you've constructed? It's all fake. And every time somebody is outed as doing this, they just pretend it doesn't really exist. They always pretend that everybody is a monolith. They always pretend that every single black person, every single trans person, I guess, is going to think the same. Now, that's obviously not the case. So they're not rooting for everybody that's black and trans. And for him to pretend that, it's like if you're doing like a science experiment or something and you know the results you want to get, you'll figure out how to get there. And that's what happened here. Oh yeah, a queer Muslim woman of color. Yeah, perfect. We don't even have to look twice. This is exactly what we need, and the rest doesn't matter. I definitely feel conned. I feel deceived. Oh, really? Really? You think so? How many times does this have to happen? It could really only be once. It really could have just been Rachel Dolezal, right? And then that would have been the end of it. Because they laughed her out the building, and then she popped up doing OnlyFans, but of course, that's a completely different discussion. Let's see. The AFSC rep Lane Mullet told the outlet that the organization has received, quote, documentation alleging that our chief equity, inclusion, and culture officer, Raquel Saraswati, has been misrepresenting her identity. This is just insane. Yeah, you can see she looks like Rachel Dolezal with the Black Lives Matter earrings. It's all completely phony. They create an entire lie and then force you to live by it. And if you infringe on their false reality, then they hate you for it. Ask Don Lemon. Every single thing Don Lemon, well, not every single thing, but 99% of what Don Lemon says is all about the establishment, is all about the agenda and the narrative. But as soon as he says one thing that's true, they get mad at him. He's benched. He has to go have a talk with the higher ups at CNN, right? He has 0 supporters at the network now because he said one thing that's true. And that's because that shows a crack in their facade. If they don't have complete control over everything, that's what every single thing is always about. All of their agendas, that's become a clear running theme of this channel. Or not this channel, but the media, right? It's not me. Anyhow, Mullet said Saraswati, quote, stands by her identity. Raquel also assures us that she remains loyal to AFCS's mission, which we firmly believe. So apparently it doesn't matter, just like the Transformer thing. Well, it doesn't matter what's true. Doesn't matter what your mom says. Doesn't matter how you were born. If you just say it, then they believe it, I guess. But they only believe certain people, right? Like, I don't know why they don't believe Rachel Dolezal, but somehow they believe this woman. Who knows? He added that AFCS does not require any employee to, quote, prove their heritage as condition of their employment or in order to be valued as a member of our team. Interesting, because your whole thing revolves around race, so you might as well do that, right? I mean, if your entire organization is based on weirdo social justice stuff, even though we don't even know what it is that they do, then maybe you should force them to prove that they are who they say they are, right? But of course, they can't do that because everybody's lying. It's all completely fake. Some AFSC members have expressed concerns that Saraswati may be harboring a hidden political agenda and is working on behalf of groups that seek to undermine the group. Oh, so now they're saying that maybe she's a mole or she's not really about this life. Okay, maybe. Look, apparently she won Woman of the Year, Philadelphia Now National Organization for Women. Like, so this is the more lies you tell, the more deceptive you can be, the more points you're going to score, the more money you're going to make, the higher up you are in their, establishment ladder, right? Because, of course, everything's backward. Even with the, traditional Democratic Party, they fell up, right? Okay, so Gavin Newsom destroys San Francisco and he gets promoted to governor, right? It happens every single time. The more destructive you can be, the better off you're going to be within their weird cult. So it's funny how they are kind of ready to call this woman out. We don't know if she's going to face any consequences. We don't know if she's going to lose any money. We don't even know how these people make money, but they can kind of call her out and sort of be wishy-washy on if she's part of the movement or not, which I guess is a step in the right direction. So it still leaves one question unanswered for me is why, as soon as a man says he's a woman, boom, they jump on it, no questions asked. But when a white woman says that she's a Muslim woman, then they give her a little bit of pushback. I don't know. Again, it's because it's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to create chaos, and it's supposed to gain control. And somehow, in some way, shape, or form, I don't know how these people make money. But thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.